Yeah, no, the music has changed just a bit. What do you guys think? Still got some tropical vibes to it yet. Well, I will say you haven't heard the Snow Talk music yet, but I think you're going to like it this year. Something to look forward to. It won't be long, right? At least I hope it's not long. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Sean says, "Oh, I like the old jingle. The old jingle was good. It was good, but it's a long story why we're not able to play that any longer. But I think it still has the same vibe. It still has the same vibe, right? We try to keep it as tropical as we can, or at least imagine that we're all hanging out on the beach as often as we can, because the weather as of late, days like this really stand out, right? When you get into a sunnier setup, it's like, oh, finally something quiet, and we don't have to worry about alert days or being notified of alerts coming out or trying to make plans around heavy rain events and yada, yada, yada. It's just been, I know we've said this a million times, it's just been a wild year, right? And I'm not going to say anything really shocking here, but it's going to repeat itself still. Still aiming for the 4th of July holiday weekend for there to be a little bit more of a pattern change for the area to get us back into a typical summer setup. It's happening. All the pieces are being laid out across the globe. It's just so slow in evolving this year that it's buying us a little bit of time, though. We really need to enjoy these rain events where we're getting them, because I just got a bad feeling we're going to see these really get spaced out in a big way in the coming weeks ahead. And we're going to be thinking, man, remember when we had all that rain? We could just use a little bit right now. It would be nice. I know that conversation's coming. So I think we need to take advantage of it while you can. If you have any yard work projects you need to do that require a setup like this instead of a very hard ground or drought scenario, then now's the time to take advantage of that before the heat does eventually win over. Another sign, too, that not a whole lot is changing is the Eastern Pacific. Anytime the tropics are active, I think they had their first hurricane already, Barbara, and now they've got, is it Cosmos? I think it's Cosmos. I don't keep up with the names of the Eastern Pacific as much as I do the Atlantic, but either way, when the Eastern Pacific becomes quite active, it's a general rule of thumb, not always, but a general rule of thumb that the Atlantic remains quiet. And the inverse happens, obviously, between the two oceans. And once we see the Eastern Pacific get a little quieter, then we need to start paying attention to the Atlantic more and more. And that's also a sign, too, that the heat will be building in and locking in over the area. So a lot of signals we can look at that don't have to appear on a weather model or appear even in our area, in our particular climate. You can look at other signals around the globe and see what's coming. And right now we got more of the same coming our way. More on that in just a few minutes. Let's show you what it looks like outside. This is a live view from the satellite up from above there, the visible satellite. And we had some of that fog this morning that was around, especially in our southern counties. Boy, it lifted fast. There is still some lingering moisture here into the I-64 corridor. I looked at some of the profiles today. There is just a hint of moisture in this area around Frankfort, maybe Shelby County through Lexington, that there is at least a chance for a sprinkle or a brief shower that may form today. I don't think it's enough to even put in the forecast, to be honest, because I'm not sure if it'll be a deep enough layer of moisture for there to even be a shower. But if there's going to be one popping today, this is an area that does stand a very, very small chance. Just want to mention that in case you live in this area and you wash the car today and you get mad at me later. I got a few drops on it. It's possible. It's possible. What you can't see, it's here, but it's very faint, and that is the Canadian wildfire smoke that is over us today. If I broaden out the view, now you can start to see how it snakes around St. Louis and then right into Kentucky, and then it kind of gets in the mix of the clouds a little bit. You can almost see how it's kind of just drifting from Missouri right into our area. Now, at the moment, it is fairly high up in the atmosphere, so you don't notice it really, other than it's a hazy, sunny setup. Later on today, though, as dry air tries to work its way in, the air will do what we call mixing, where we try to steer things up. In other words, you try to take some of the air up above and flip it around down to the ground. And when that happens, just like a washing machine would do, when we start to mix the air, some of that smoke is going to try to get into lower layers. I don't think the particles will be enough to change the air quality in a significant way at all. But it's something we ran into before when we went through this wildfire scenario that eventually grew into a bigger issue. I don't think we're at that level at all. But I at least want to mention that if you notice it a little bit hazier and a little bit lower levels, say you live in a higher elevation, you can see it more in the tree line. Don't be surprised if that some of that smoke may try to drift down. Minor issue, just want to mention it. Should be in, though, for a really nice sunset this evening with those particles. There's the plus side to it. Obviously, the big downside is that this means that some place is on fire, right? So while it can look majestic sometimes in the sunsets and sunrises, that also means somebody is losing land up into Canada right now. No one's getting hurt, but the fires continue in that area. They just did not get as much snow into some parts of Canada as even we did. So that's a reason why they're off to a bad start. All right. Anyway, that's enough on that. Just want to at least mention it. You could see, ooh, looks like let's go on a little bit of a journey here. Tornado warning near Charleston. And look at that complex of storms. Heading right in Beaufort, Hilton Head area, Edisto Beach. Looks like it's going to head right into eventually West Ashley and Johns Island, James Island, and Somerville. Really just south, really, of on the edge of Orangeburg County. So this is Charleston County. So this is one of the largest counties. I think it may be the longest county in the United States, if I remember right. Charleston is. So yeah, anyway, that's a tornado warning heading right into Charleston within the hour. So if you know any friends or family there, you want to give them a heads up. Looks like it's one of those spin ups on the edge of a line of thunderstorms, MCS type feature. So okay, so anyway, a little wilder to our south. They've actually been in a drought scenario in that area, but boy, that's flipping for them. They're getting more active. And speaking of active, look at Texas even right now. MCS starting to fade a bit, but that's raking across the Lone Star State, starting to focus a little more toward Waco and north of Austin and the Round Rock area in Austin. So that's us actually getting a little bit of a spin to it. So it's developing a MCV, what we call that. We see those a lot around here, little mini low pressures. So this will likely grow into something maybe a little stronger later. Let me see if it's got a severe weather outlook on it today, especially with that forming on it. Let's see. And they only got a marginal out. And in the Carolinas, they only have a marginal out. And you got a tornado warning heading in Charleston. So this will be actually just updated too. Yikes. Okay. Well, anyway, you get the idea. We're not in that mess, but it is active to the south. And notice the absence of any severe outlook for us. Isn't that nice? Nice and quiet. So let's get into the game plan, how this is going to work out for us. The rest of the day today, hazy. You'll see that in-house model right there did hint at a couple of cumulus clouds that try to pop today again, mainly I-75 area. Otherwise, very, very pleasant. Most of us will be on the 70s side of the 80, but the city of Louisville may cross 80. It won't surprise me. But again, very pleasant, low humidity. Love it. Tonight, not as much fog, mainly into the Lake Cumberland area, if anywhere. Otherwise, a little bit milder tonight, temperatures in the 60s. Tomorrow, still looking good. You see little pockets of Cape that form and some of the valleys there, which is pretty wild to see that, right? But not enough to worry about. So tomorrow will stay dry again. So we get another bonus dry day tomorrow. Not as much smoke either. The smoke will be kind of spun around a little bit more to our northwest. Then we get into Thursday. This is where we start to run into some issues with high clouds that begin to roll in. Still, I don't think we're going to have enough fuel to spark thunderstorms. I think we'll stay dry even on Thursday. But the high clouds, you bet, will move in. And this being a high deck of clouds, we still have a good chance to get close to 90 by this point because we're going to be starting off a lot warmer. So when you have a lower start to the gate and the gate bell rings there, it takes a while to get all the way up to that 90-degree mark this time of the year. But if you start off warm in the 70-degree range, you don't have far to go to get there. So that's the reason why Thursday, even with increasing clouds, perhaps one of the warmer days of the week. Could we keep going into Friday with another dry day? That's going to be a little tougher because here's a scenario that we're getting into here, guys. And this is a very popular one that we're having this year. The Ohio Valley, if we had a bumper sticker, it would be where cold fronts go to die and low pressures are born, because that's been the theme this season. Cold fronts are getting into the I-64 corridor. They stall, and then low pressures are forming along them and then running around the front or running on the front itself. And this just keeps happening until we get something, usually out of Canada, another stronger low that will come in and push this boundary either down to the south and give, like Charleston, South Carolina, severe threat, or we see it fade way to the north. Normally, it would go north this time of the year, way up here, north of even Ontario. And that would mean our summer heat takes over and we don't have, other than your daily pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoon, nothing really to worry about. But unfortunately, we're kind of in this in-between issue, very spring-like, where we're still stuck with fronts to just keep falling apart here. And we just, until we get other pieces of the puzzle around the globe that kind of shake around, this is not going to change in a dramatic fashion. You're going to get little mini heat waves like we'll see later this week, but they just don't last. The fronts are moving in too quick. So the Friday time period, I think, is going to be the first one that will start to introduce some showers and thunderstorms into the picture. Now, I will say, yes, the boundary's here Friday. The difference in the rain coverage on Friday alone is the models are not agreeing on how fast the low that will form on it will actually develop. And then secondly, how fast will it drift along it like a locomotive on the tracks there, because this is a very sluggish pattern. It really is. So once these lows form, they just take so long to get from one side of the country to the other, or at least in the Ohio Valley, one side of the valley to the other. It takes a while. And so there are speed differences here. Some models bring in that low right over us with perhaps an active day on Friday with maybe even some severe weather potentially. And others, like the Euro even, wants to just hold off and maybe give us one more day, one more dry day. But then our luck runs out. I mean, it's going to be hard to get a dry period for the entire weekend coming up into parts of next week. Very, very difficult. But these are blobs, if you will. So there will be gaps in between them. And we may get 1 or 2 days that may score in one of those gaps. Father's Day is possible. I wouldn't rule that out, that it may be in one of those periods. But here's the Euro. I'll just show you this as an example, but keep in mind they all look a little different. So I'll just give you the storyline as we go along, but I think you guys get the point. The first one shows up here on Friday, really takes over on Saturday. If we don't get an active day on Friday, Saturday, unfortunately, I do think will be an active day with clusters of heavy rain, thunderstorms, some which could be strong to severe. All right. That's the Euro it's so slow. It wants to hold on to this on Father's Day. There are other models, including, I believe, the Canadian that's faster. It wants to go and get this out of here and moves it to the east. Again, this is going to be our thorn in the forecast for us to figure out the rest of this week will be the speed of each one of these. Euro finally gets the one piece, at least one of them, to the east of us. However, we're not done. This is one of the day breaks that it's seeing, which would be Monday or Tuesday. Doesn't last long because yet another front will settle into the area with more showers and storms for about the middle of next week. As I mentioned, it may take until 4th of July to really see this kind of turn around. All right. Everyone, type 1 if you're good. Type 1 if you're good. Let me get right to the 10-day and show you where we're at here on the numbers. 81 today, 87 tomorrow. Again, a little closer to 90 on Thursday. High clouds will be key on that. Either way, it's going to feel a little more humid for sure on Friday. Or excuse me, Thursday. All the days run together, and Friday as well. And then the storm chances, we'll be spiking these. It's inevitable, guys. I mean, we're going to be spiking these to like 80, 90% chances. But at the same time, there will be other days where we could probably keep them under 30. We just don't know yet. So I think for your planning, I think it's easier on your mindset as well. We're not going to just kind of shake you around on a spike one day and the next day it's a different one. Yeah, the weather changes, but we don't want to keep jumping around when honestly the data is just not clear enough to really pick out a day higher. We would really just be throwing a dart trying to do that. So let's give it a little bit more time, a couple more days here, and we should be able to get a better handle on the speed of each one of those little ripples on that front. And at that point, you're going to start to see the spikes up and down take place in the rain chance category. And so don't get too worried that it's going to rain every single day. I know there's a lightning bolt flashing everywhere on here. I don't think it's going to rain every single day. I just think that we're going to be stuck in that pattern, that we need to be aware that potential is there. Hi, Shonda. You're saying the storms are possible the weekend of 21st? Yes. The pattern will keep repeating until at least, I still think 4th of July weekend may be the beginning of the flip. That's what I'm targeting right now. It's almost like waiting for the first cold snap of the season. Remember how we always push it back? Oh, it'll be by Christmas. No, maybe the first week of January. Actually, it's probably going to be sometime in March, and then in April it hits. So you guys know how it goes. It's always easier to go slower than faster on especially summer patterns because they are very lazy. Summer patterns are very lazy on changing. So you really have to go slow with them. Winter ones go pretty fast. Let's see. Any other questions? Hey, Daniel. William will be seeing severe weather. Ohio will be seeing severe, excuse me. Thinking about taking a vacation there Wednesday through Wednesday. Yes, but you will get Wednesday, Thursday. You could score Friday. So at least 3 of the days you'll be good. And I think you're going to lose maybe 2 to 3 of the rest. Maybe not a whole other half to the next Wednesday window. But I do think at least the front half, you're in good shape. The second half and over the weekend in particular, you'll be a little more at risk. And these would be your typical downburst winds, damage wind scenario. You can get tornadoes, don't get me wrong. We're just about out of that season, though, of getting your larger tornadoes. It's a little tougher to do because the jet stream is getting weaker. And that's key on getting your larger systems and tornadoes that we've had this year. That jet is getting weaker. And therefore, you transition to a lot of lightning. This is now the season of very intense lightning. This is now the season of very heavy rain, flash flooding that ramps up even more. And this is the season of damage wind and downburst winds, which, as I've said several times, those are more of a problem here at this time of the year than the tornadoes are in the spring. It may not seem like it, but we have more damage in the summer season and downburst winds and MCSs to come through than we do with any tornado outbreak. It's just because they cover so much more real estate. And they can be they're easier to track, to be honest, though. So there's a big plus to them. When they get going, you get a big heads up they're coming. Unlike tornadoes, a little tougher. Hey, Peter, how you doing? Next Saturday, okay. We got a storm chance in right now for next Saturday, but way too far out. Way too far out. Travis, up in northern Indiana, rain of fire pattern coming. Yes, rain of fire pattern is coming, which I'll explain when we're able to show it, Travis, but that will be our lovely thunderstorm complex around the Bermuda High. It's coming soon. And actually, it's a good sign to see, too. That's a sign that we're finally getting on track to normal summer. Let's see. Hey, Crispy, how are you on YouTube? We should be getting less severe, though, with the wind decrease, right? Less severe as far as tornado potential, yes. But the problem is with strong wind gusts in the summer is you get hot. And when you cool these thunderstorms down or they collapse, the amount of heat that is built up, it's even more, fuel or water boiling on the pot on the stove than what you have in this cooler spring season. You add in so much more heat; they just have a much more violent speed to them. This is where usually we talk about deratios and MCSs that can produce wind speeds very, very high over lawn areas or larger areas of real estate. I can't talk today. So I do think they're, to me, I think they're more of an issue. More of an issue. Hi, Elizabeth. How does the last week look like? I think you mean June. June may still be stormy, but it should be it should start seeing signs. It's not within our 10-day yet. Obviously, by next week's 10-day, we'll be able to see that full week. But once we get into the end portion of June, I think we'll start getting out of this constant dying of cold fronts in our area and get into more your typical thunderstorms and a hotter scenario will start to take over. I still think 4th of July weekend, prepare to be in the pool. I think we're going to start heating up at that point there. And hi, Mark. I'll take your question that I got to run. June 21st rain right now. Yeah, I think we have to really keep any chance of rain about every 36 to 48 hours right now in the long term, just because we still see low pressures that are lined up all the way into Canada that are waiting to drop down. So we can see the train effect way in the distance. They're coming down. They will vary a bit in the reality on speed when they get a little closer, but we can definitely tell there's a traffic jam coming. So that's the reason why we have to just keep rain chances going. You're not really going to see us in the long term go without any rain chance right now, only when confidence is really high in the short term, like you see here for the next 3 days. Otherwise, yeah, you just can't, unfortunately. But don't fret, guys. All right, we're almost out of this. We're almost out of this. As I said, there will be a time period we're going to miss this in a big way. So let's try to savor the positive on it. All right, guys. I'm going to run. It's almost 10 o'clock, and for once, I can get out here a little early. Isn't that nice? I mean, not physically. I still got a show to do, but you get the idea. All right, you guys enjoy the day. Take your plans outside today. Enjoy it. Enjoy the next 2 to 3 days, and we'll just see how the weekend rain chances evolve. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate it as always. And behave yourselves. Don't get arrested. I'll see you on the flip side.